Matthew 17. The title of this is The Enemy Within Your Mouth. This is one of those things that you can't listen to this sermon and go home and say, okay, I'm going to fix this, and then it be done. This is a lifelong challenge, and you've never achieved it. I've never achieved it. It's one of those things we just work on while we got this flesh that's hanging on to us. You never achieve it, but you should always be working on it. Matthew 17, verse 4. This is the Mount of Transfiguration. Jesus has taken Peter, James, and John up there with him. And here's what happens. Then answered Peter and said unto Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If thou wilt, okay, now I'm going to get your permission, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. And behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. Shut up, Peter. You're listening to, you've diverted the attention. He spoke when he shouldn't have spoken. He should have just shut up. There's a lot of times in life, you know it for a fact, that we should have just shut up when we spoke. It's hard to tame that tongue, but it's one of those things that we're called to do. He was talking when he should have been listening. Now, there was a lot of wild stuff going on right there. That's Moses and Elijah have come back. After 2,000 years, they show up, boom, with Jesus Christ. But that would have been something to overhear. And he was allowing them to be the fly on the wall. But Peter just had to say something. Look at verse 3. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elijah talking with him. Who's the him? That's Jesus Christ. So the conversation is between Moses, Elijah, and Jesus Christ. Then in verse 4 it says, Then answered Peter. You're butting into a conversation that ain't yours. Nobody was talking to you, Peter. But he still got to say something. There was no answer required because nobody was asking him anything. But yet he's got to say something. Well, let's not get too hard on Peter. We've been there, we've done that, we probably will again. Look at it in Mark chapter 9. Mark 9, verse 5. And Peter answered and said to Jesus, Master, it is good for us to be here. Something you didn't know. And let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for thee, one for Moses, and one for Elias. For he wist not what to say. He didn't know what to say, and he was saying. When you don't know what to say, that's a good clue. Shut up. For they were sore afraid. So he tries to cover his fear with mindless chatter. When you're afraid, it's probably a good idea not to open your mouth. Because that's going to be the flesh's inclination. Fear, so I've got to mask the fear with much speaking. And that's wrong. He should have been praying, not advising. Here he's giving the Lord advice. Hey, what you really need up here, I'm going to tell you something. I saw something while y'all were over there chit-chatting. I saw that we need 3... Shut up, Peter. You're afraid and I know it. You sit there and learn something. Here's what should happen when you're afraid. Psalms 56. Psalms 56, verse 3. I wish there was a magic formula that I could give you where you would no longer ever be afraid. But life's going to happen and there's going to be times you're going to be afraid. Well, it's a good thing we've got a formula for what to do when you are afraid. Here it is. Psalms 56, verse 3. What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. Okay? Put your trust in Jesus Christ. No advice needed. He doesn't need advising. He knows exactly what he's doing. We'll just put our trust in him. When you're afraid, find something about him you can trust. You already know all the things about him that are trustworthy. Put your mind there. In Mark 14, same story. Mark 14, verse 38. Oh, no, this isn't the same story. Mark 14, 38. This is Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane before the crucifixion. He's brought these same three, Peter, James, and John. He said, you're going to be my prayer warriors. I'm going to need some help tonight. I'm in a great agony. That's how he put it. Mark 14:38. Watch ye and pray, lest ye enter into temptation. The spirit truly is ready, but the flesh is weak. Okay, the advice has been given on the front end. Verse 40. And when he returned, he found them asleep again. This is the third time. For their eyes were heavy. Here's our word. Neither wist they what to answer him. They didn't know. Now, they did something good here. They just shut up. They didn't say anything else. Now, the instruction they'd been given was pray. Watch and pray. Keep your eyes open and pray. Why? Because he knows there's going to be some soldiers coming after him to take him. He wants them to watch. So they can say, psst, prayer meeting's over. But they were asleep. It says their eyes were heavy. So what? Close your eyes and pray. Your eyes don't have to be open to watch and pray. The things you can watch in life are the things you've said, the situations you've been in, given a wrong response. You can replay that all day long with your eyes closed and pray about it. God, what was the right thing to do there? I know I messed it up, but how would I fix it? Okay, watch and pray. You can do that with your eyes closed. But their eyes were heavy. Okay, so the eyes started leading them around. Okay, we're going to go to sleep. Jesus says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So if your eyes are heavy, you're following the wrong cow. You're pulling in the wrong yoke. There's one that's light. And if the eyes get heavy, it ain't his. Most Christians have a desire to do the right things. You would say that. If I just ask a person, do you want to do right in life? Do you want to do moral things? Do you want to do good things? Do you want to do wholesome? Yes, of course. Of course, that's what they want. It's easy to say it and think you want that. But many times, they just don't know what the right thing is. They wist not. They didn't know. We got a thinking problem. We've always had one. Always will. They wist not. Look at Leviticus chapter 5, verse 17. Just because you don't know doesn't mean you get out. You're still guilty, period. If you don't know, you should have known. Leviticus 5, verse 17. And if a soul sin and commit any of these things which are forbidden to be done by the commandments of the Lord, though he wist it not, he didn't know it, yet is he guilty and shall bear his iniquity. Doesn't matter if you didn't know it, you should have known it. We've got a book right here. There's no excuse. We could have known it. He says, you're still going to be guilty. Look at Judges chapter 16. Judges 16, verse 20. This is where this leads. No knowledge. Judges 16:20. This is Samson and Delilah. And she said, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he awoke out of his sleep and said, I will go out as at other times before and shake myself. And he wist not, he did not know, that the Lord was departed from him. Whew, that is a sad statement. He didn't know God wasn't helping him. Now there's some of the things that we get involved in life, and we wist not that God ain't going to help you do that. You better get his input on it. Find out if it's something he wants you doing or not. Samson didn't hear say, let me pray about it and see if God wants me to go fight the Philistines this time. No, I'll just go out there and take care of business. The knowledge. You think you got knowledge when you don't have knowledge. You don't have knowledge when you should have had knowledge. You don't have anything, and so you just start spitting out at the mouth. All of those are traps that the flesh will get us into. Look at Exodus chapter 5. Exodus 5 verse 2. This is Pharaoh. He's going to get himself in trouble with his mouth. Exodus 5:2. And Pharaoh said, came right out of his mouth, "Who is the Lord, that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not the Lord, neither will I let Israel go." You want to bet? You fixing to meet him, and you're going to let him go. Don't let your mouth get you in trouble. It's easy to do. Now, he had to pay for that one and pay for it dearly. The mouth will get us in trouble. Look at Psalms chapter 5. Some people's problem is not saying hurtful things with their mouth. It's saying good things that they don't mean. Psalms 5 verse 9. There is no faithfulness in their mouth. Their inward part is very wicked. Their throat is an open sepulchre. They flatter with their tongue. People say that. I heard somebody, twice I've heard this week, and it seemed curious to me. Somebody says, "You look good." Well, in comparison to what? What'd you expect me to look like? You mean I didn't get as ugly as you thought I was going to be by now? Susie and somebody else. Yeah. An Irish lady we know. Don't flatter with the tongue. Most of the time that's done so they'll get a compliment back. Most of that time is, my dad had a thing he used to do, which seemed funny to me at the time. He loved salad. He would, on the table would be a table salad bowl, and it was probably as big as this pulpit. Not really, but it felt like it. Full of salad. Okay, well, everybody would get one. I didn't like salad. I don't care anything about salad. That's what my food eats. And so everybody get their little salad, and everybody finish the dinner. And he would say, "Does anybody want any more salad?" What he was saying is, "Can I eat the rest of it?" But rather than say that, it's, "Can anybody else? Would anybody else like?" As though I'm being nice to everybody else. No, I'm telling you, I'm taking the rest of it. Don't be flattering in order to get something in return. Psalms, where were we? That was 5. Psalms 10, verse 3. Psalms 10, verse 3. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Lord abhorreth. That's a companion of fools right there. The wicked person is going to boast of his heart's desire. That's something he's desiring he does not have. And he blesses the covetous. Okay, so somebody's already got it, and he says, "Good job." But the somebody who's already got it because all of life for them is, what can I get next? He says that man is blessing someone that God abhors. Stay away from flatterers. They're not good. And it'll give God a bad opinion of you. Psalms 10, verse 7. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. Okay, this is a tough verse. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit. You can tell the person you should not be carrying on much conversation with by the ones who curse. If you can't talk without controlling curse words, we shouldn't be talking, because you don't have any control. Okay. I don't want to be around someone who is out of control. Okay. Cursing is the clue. Clean up your language or go find somebody else to talk to. Psalms 12, verse 2. Psalm 12, verse 2. They speak vanity, everyone with his neighbor. Now that's easy to do, and we all do that. Let's just all go to the altar on that one. He says they speak vanity to your neighbor. You just talk about stuff that doesn't matter. Okay, well, that can't be life. Life can't be all about fluff, just stuff that doesn't make any difference. With flattering lips and with a double heart do they speak. That's that flattering again. He says flattering is really a double heart, a double-minded man right there. Flattering. He's not flattering because he truly is complimenting you. It's a double heart. He's expecting something out of it. The Lord shall cut off all the flattering lips and the tongue that speaketh proud things. Don't you know there are going to be some funny-looking people when he shows up without lips? Wait till the millennium. Wait till he starts dividing the sheep and the goats and says, okay, lips be gone. Tongue cut out. That's going to be bad news. Who have said with our tongue will we prevail? Our lips are our own. Who is the Lord over us? Now that's that thing in the New Testament. It's the advice is don't say I will do this or I will do that. Say if the Lord will, then we'll do this, or if the Lord will, we do that. Because we really don't know. We can't determine this life. And if you're a Christian, you're bought and paid for. It's not your life to determine anything. Anything. You can't determine how much gas you're going to put in your car. You shouldn't. You should ask him, you okay with me filling it up today? Okay, good. If he gives you an uneasy feeling about it, then don't. Ask him how much. Everything. We're Christians. We're bought and paid for. Psalms 12 verse 2. No, I just read that. Psalms 28 verse 3. Psalm 28 verse 3. He says, draw me not away with the wicked, and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their hearts. You've got to do more than judge a book by its words. Now, what I mean by that is a person, just because they say something, does not mean they mean it. He says over there that they're going to cry peace, peace, and there is no peace. You've got to judge more than just the words that come out of a person's mouth. Here, they're going to speak peace to their neighbor, but really they're full of wickedness and iniquity. So a wicked person full of iniquity, don't trust even when they say something good. Don't put your hope in it. Probably not going to work out. Mischief is in their heart. They're scheming. Psalms 39 verse 1. To the chief musician, even to, who's that? Jeduthun. A psalm of who? I said, I will take heed to my ways, that I sin not with my tongue. There's lots of ways you can sin. One easy way to sin is with your tongue. We know that. We've experienced it. David says right here, one thing I've determined. Now, I wish it was as easy as just one thing you determine. It's a constant battle you've got to always be determining. Is I'm not going to sin with my tongue. Oops, I just did it. I'm not going to sin with... is one of those you keep doing. I will keep my mouth with a bridle while the wicked is before me. Now that tells you something. If you're around wicked people, shut up. Shut up. Don't get involved in the conversation. Unless God says, tell them this, then it's not you determining you're going to say something or fit into the conversation. But with wicked people, don't be part of the conversation, period. Stay out of it. They're wicked. He says right there, I'm going to keep my tongue with a bridle. I'm going to act like an animal, put a bit in my mouth and yank it back and say, whoa, boy. Psalm 52, verse 1. Why boastest thyself in mischief, O mighty man? The goodness of God endureth continually. Thy tongue deviseth mischiefs, like a sharp razor, working deceitfully. Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness. Selah. Now he did not say, where is it? He did not say that he did not like good, because we all like good. There's a comparison here. He likes evil more than good. He likes both. He's wanting his cake and eat it too. So he likes good, but he likes evil even more. David, when is this happening? Okay, read the prescript in verse 1.
The chief musician, Mashil, a son of David, when Doeg the Edomite came and told Saul, and said unto him, David is come to the house of Ahimelech.
So now you know what David's reply to this is. You remember the story? You remember what's going on here when this psalm was written?
Yeah, David was running from Saul,
Mm-hmm.
and he went to
Abimelech.
Was it Abimelech?
Abimelech.
Okay, and he asked for some food and a sword. He got Goliath, the sword he used on
Yep.
he used on Goliath. They took from Goliath and used on him, and then Doeg the Edomite was there and went and reported back to Saul. And then he came and killed everybody in the city of Nob, N-O-B.
Nob. Mm-hmm.
Killed 85 priests, but the Israeli soldiers wouldn't touch him. The Hebrew soldiers wouldn't touch him. It was Doeg that killed all of them.
Yep.
And then Saul slaughtered the entire city or village.
So this tells you what a tattletale is. This tells you a tattletale. Now, this tattletale is not telling something truthful to better somebody. It's a tattletale to harm somebody. He's out because he's jealous of David. David is getting too much attention. Okay, we're going to take care of this David problem. I'm with Saul. Let's get rid of him. So it's done to take life, not to help life. Now, you might tattle on somebody for doing the wrong thing in order to better them. That's okay, if it's done with the attitude to better them. But if the attitude is to destroy them, you fit in this right here. The tongue is like a sharp razor. It's done to destroy. That's a tattletale. Okay, Psalm 52, verse 1. Oh, no, that's what I just read. Let's go to Psalms 10, verse 19. Psalm 10, verse 19. Well, then let's try Proverbs.
So that was a test.
Now we know who turned there. Right? Not me. Right. Me and Zayden didn't have a clue. We said there should be a Psalms 19. Okay, Proverbs 10:19. In the multitude of words there wanteth not sin, but he that refraineth his lips is wise. Do you want to be wise? We want to be wise. If you don't, you're stupider than I thought you were. You should want to be wise. Wisdom is a good character trait. He says right here, one of the ways you can get wisdom is to shut up. Refrain your lips. They don't have to always have something to say. Tell them to shut up. One of the reasons for that is given right there at the beginning of the verse. In the multitude of words, there wanteth not sin. Wanteth not. That means there won't be any lack of sin. So the more you speak, the more chances are you're going to sin with your lips. So don't do a whole lot of speaking. That's why this verse right here is a very important verse, because it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 1 that God's chosen the foolishness of preaching. What's foolish about preaching? Much words. In the multitude of words, there wanteth not sin. God said, I'll take something that's foolish, a man using a bunch of words, and I'll use that for my power. Now, the words that they're using should not be their own. They should be God's words. In those words, there is no want of sin. You won't have to worry about it. In Ezekiel 28, verse 2. Ezekiel 28, 2. I thought we were going to get some special music there for a minute. Ezekiel 28, 2, he says, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus saith the Lord God, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a god. I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man, and not God, though thou settest thine heart as the heart of God. All right. Who's this talking about, David? It's a trick question.
That's a good question too, and I don't know.
Well, you can read the verse and see. I haven't gotten the trick part yet.
Prince of Tyrus?
There we go, Prince of Tyrus. Okay, so this is somebody you know. Let's go to go on down there. I've got to turn to it so I can. If you keep reading the passage, you will soon discover exactly who it is. So let your eye run down the passage and see if you see. Isaiah 28 doesn't look right. How about Ezekiel? Okay, we're in Ezekiel 28. We've got a prince in verse 2. You see who it is yet?
Verse 14.
Yes. Okay, there's your answer, David. Verse 14.
Cherub and Hurry?
Mm-hmm.
Not just any.
Yeah, not just cherub.
Okay, so who's that?
Yeah.
That was Lucifer. Lucifer. Now, what was Lucifer's problem here?
Heart was lifted up.
He had a heart problem, and it came out his mouth. When you have a heart problem, you don't have to tell everybody you've got one. But a lot of times we just tattle on ourselves. That's what cursing does. Cursing tells me what's in your heart. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So, there he's given evidence of who Lucifer is, the devil is. We do the same thing. As we begin to speak, we give evidence to what's in abundance in our heart, not what's a little bit. You didn't just watch one TV show and they said a curse word on there, and then tomorrow you wake up saying that curse word. No, you've got an abundance of that curse word in your heart. And when you're jostled, it spills out. So, learn to shut your mouth. The heart is easy to clean up. What happens when you speak it is it becomes what? Iniquity. Now I've poured it on someone else and I've taught them how to speak iniquity. Now it's a double whammy. I've got to get my heart right and I got to get my lips right. Keep the mouth closed. God can work on that heart, buddy. Don't worry about that. Well, worry about it, but Ezekiel 29, next chapter over. Ezekiel 29, verse 3. Ezekiel 29, verse 3, speak and say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, the great dragon that lieth in the midst of his rivers, which hath said, something came out of his mouth, my river is mine own, and I have made it for myself. Okay, who is this? Trick questions tonight. Okay, so why do you say this?
Because he's the Son of Man set his face against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, in verse 2.
Okay, what does he say in verse 3? This is Lucifer again. Here, he's called Pharaoh, king of Egypt, but then he clarifies it. See the comma? The great dragon that lieth in the midst of the rivers. Never in the Bible is a dragon good. Here, he's told you, I've identified him. That's the devil, right there. The problem with the devil, again, he's speaking. He's letting his mouth pour out what's in his heart. And God says, okay, I'll take care of that. That requires both hands, and I'm going to smack you with them. Romans chapter 16. Romans 16, verse 18. Romans 16, 18. I've got to actually go back. Let's go back to verse 17. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses, contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned. Now, he did not say divisions and offenses were bad. There's a category that is bad. If it's a division and an offense that is contrary to the doctrine that they've been taught, that they've learned. And avoid them. For they that are such serve not our Lord Jesus Christ, but their own belly. And by good words and fair speeches deceive the heart of the simple. So, just because somebody's talking smooth and they've got all the right poems in all the right places, and they can sing all the right music and have, the best voice you've ever heard. Don't necessarily give in to that. Notice the words that are said. There's something that is very important a Christian should get a hold of very quickly. Words are important. Jesus Christ is called what? The Word. Word. So words should become very important to us. Listen to a person's word. Not necessarily how it's said, but what was said, because that reveals something. Here he says they're going to come in with flattering and smooth words, and it's, if you're not careful, it'll deceive you. Turn on the TV and listen to most modern preachers, and it's deception. They put out 2 words God said and then mixed it with 15 of their own that means something totally different. That's deception. Listen to the words, judge them by the word. In James chapter 1. James 1 verse 19. All the women are going to love this verse. James 1:19. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. So women can just talk nonstop. No. Every human. We should be ready to hear more than to speak. That's a hard lesson to learn in life. Usually you learn that by saying something out of your mouth that was stupid and you pay the price for it. Okay, let's learn to shut up. That's a nice way of saying it, I think. Be slow to speak, but quick to hear. That's how you learn. In verse 26, if any man among you seem to be religious, and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain. I don't care how religious and spiritual you seem. If you cannot control your tongue, he says your religion is vain. It's not affected you. If you've not been benefited by it, and it's not proved in your language, then your religion is worthless. What you claim for other people hasn't helped you. Why would I listen to it? That's what he's saying. Look at chapter 3, James 3:5. Even so, the tongue is a little member, and boasteth great things. Boy, it sure can. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. You can't start with a big fire. That's impossible to do. How do you do that? Every fire had to start at some point from a spark. Something small started every size fire. Okay, he says, your tongue's the same way. It's just a little bitty muscle, and it can produce a major problem. Just let it start running. Verse 6, and the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. That's what happens when your tongue speaks, and it shouldn't. The tongue is a dangerous tool because it doesn't just cause sin. There's 3 things in the Bible you have to know: transgression, sin, and iniquity. 3 different words, 3 different things. What is transgression? Somebody.
Breaking the law.
Breaking a law, correct. Could be God's law or man's law. It's like trespass. Okay? What is sin? Somebody other than Jan. Sin. How would you define that? Sin.
Who knows to do good and does not, it is sin.
That's true.
Doing good, doing bad, violation of God's law.
There we go. Breaking God's law. Because transgression could break man's law or God's law. Either way, it could be a transgression. You've trespassed on something you should not have. That's transgression. It could be with or without knowledge. Sin is something different. That's knowing you've broken God's law. Okay, that's against God. Now, it could be you broke God's law and didn't realize you did it. Remember, we read the verses on if he committed an iniquity and he wist it not, he's still guilty. Okay, there he's told us, sin, even if you didn't know it was sin, you're still guilty. You should have known. So sin is breaking God's law. Now, there's one more category that the Bible gives us all the time. Iniquity. Teaching somebody else to sin. Iniquity multiplies your sin by the crowd around you. And God punishes more harsh for that than he does an individual sin that did not affect anybody else. So those are interesting things here. Now, he said of the tongue in verse 6, it is a world of iniquity. The worst possible category of sin. Because what's the tongue do? Somebody, somewhere, it goes out into the sound waves and somebody's going to pick it up. Now you've infected. You know what I mean? You've passed on your sin to somebody else. You've multiplied it. That's the tongue. That's why it's dangerous. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and is set on fire of hell. That is, there's a close relationship, but in your natural state, there's a close relationship between your tongue and hell. They don't live very far apart. They're neighbors. And if you're not careful, that tongue will sneak over there to party with hell. And before you know it, it'll be spreading it. And the bonfire starts. James 3:5. No, I just read that to you. How come I've got that in here again? Maybe I scrolled up. 1 Peter 3. 1 Peter 3:10. We're almost done. I say that a couple more times. You'll stay with me. 1 Peter 3:10. For he that will love life and see good days. You want that? You want to love life? Sure, get a life, man. You want to see good days, not bad days? Sure, we all do. Here's how you do it. Let him refrain his tongue from evil and his lips that they speak no guile. Now, like I've said before, you've never accomplished this. You've never become proficient at this. We're always working on it. And there should be some improvement. You can look back over your life and say, I finally conquered that thing pretty good, and then all of a sudden I fell off the map, and there I got it back. That's life. That's life, up and down. But you should be seeing more ups than downs the farther you get along in your Christian life. So refrain your tongue from evil and your lips that they speak no guile. And if you want to know what guile is, you just look at it in the Bible. 2 Peter 2. 2 Peter 2, verse 18. For when they speak great swelling words of vanity. Did I tell you where we are? 2 Peter 2:18. For when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they allure through the lust of the flesh, through much wantonness, those that were clean escaped from them who live in error. You see what that said? There's a whole lot in that, and you got to really look at it and think when you read it, because he said a lot. He said somebody escaped. They were safe. But then they were recaptured. How were they recaptured? Because somebody came along and was speaking great swelling words and vanity, and they were alluring, like a fishing lure, alluring through the lust of the flesh, through much wantonness. Don't you want this new trinket? See what I got? Wouldn't you like to have one? This is the new and improved black book. iBook. You got to get one. That's much wantonness. Make you desire something. Well, he says those people were escaped from it. They had already conquered that problem. And then before they knew it, words, speech, something that came out of somebody's mouth, trapped them again. Verse 19, while they promise them liberty, they themselves are the servants of corruption. For of whom a man is overcome, of the same is he brought into bondage. In bondage. Jude, chapter 16. When you find chapter 16, stand up and read it. Jude 1, verse 16. There's only one chapter. Jude 1:16. These are murmurers. That comes out of your mouth. Now, it may not come out of your mouth as a word. Murmurers. Murmurers could come out of your mouth as a sigh. You're told to do something and you go, that's murmuring. That's a noise without words. It's babbling. It's a sound that has no sense to it. Ouch, that hurts. I know. Murmurers. The next one is almost as bad. Complainers. We love to complain, don't we? We're some complaining people. We got plenty of things we can complain about, and it's absolutely right. But don't always be complaining. So what? The world's wicked. It's going to be wicked. In what nightmare did you think the world was suddenly going to wake up and start acting spiritual? No. We want darkness to stay dark and lightness to be as bright as it can be, so there's a difference between the two. Okay. So we don't have to always be complaining about it. Complainers. Walking after their own lust, and their mouth speaking great swelling words, having men's person in admiration because of advantage. That's the popularity contest. Admiration. Now you see this admiration in the spirit world, in the Christian realm, by the popular preachers. Who's your favorite preacher? Okay, well you should have about 10 of them. Don't have one. Have you many. Get you many. So that you're not beholden to one man. Okay? Get some of my stuff, but then don't stop there. Go find somebody else's. Listen to a variety. Okay? Of that variety, you're going to find one that clicks with you. Okay? I understand the way he's thinking. We think the same. But don't stop there. Listen to somebody else too, because God will use the person you didn't think he could use, and he'll say something right to you. So that's that admiration. The devil will use that too. If he can get you sucked into just exalting one man. That's what Paul did in 1 Corinthians. He comes in there and he says, hey, look, y'all have a problem. You've said, hey, I listen to Paul. I don't care about that Cephas guy. He's hard to understand. And another one says, oh, I like Apollos. Apollos is educated and he's an orator and he's a great man. You forget Paul once you hear Apollos. He says, none of those guys are anything. We're simply ministers here to help you. And God's given all of us to all of you. So that's it. Don't become a popularity contest. Don't you become one, and don't follow one. In Revelation 13, verse 4. Revelation 13, 4. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. Now, none of this is good. This is the unholy trinity showing up in the tribulation. Now, what are they worshiping? The dragon. That's not a good thing. Okay, so what's the world going to do? They're going to tell you dragons are good. They're going to make movies about dragons. And they're going to tell you how to tame a dragon. Because they're all liars. The Bible said a dragon is bad. A dragon is a picture of the devil. And the devil is the real dragon. One day he's going to show up physically on this earth. And he wants to already have some followers before he gets here. Here he is. They worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. There's the devil from the beginning to the end. His problem's always his mouth. And we don't have to act like the devil. Keep your mouth shut.